Hello,
Hello,
and
and
welcome
welcome
back
back
to
to
the
the Two
Two
Cents
Cents
Podcast.
Podcast. In this week's episode, we're going to talk about a much anticipated topic.
I think everybody's been waiting for us to get to this. So,
We have said that we were going to talk about it for several weeks, and now it's finally the day has come. The day is here.
we're here.
We are going to break down our budget and explain basically how do we budget $285,000 as a married couple living in the DC metro area. Let's get to it. I have
Let's
my
get to it.
laptop. I'm going to pull it up for numbers because if you listen to last week's episode or the week prior, I don't remember, we talked about how specific women are with their numbers, and I
Yeah.
am no exception.
They want to make sure that they're right, which makes sense. Everybody
Okay.
should.
So, one quick caveat before we jump into this, James and I, while obviously doing the research and making sure we had the right numbers for you, we realized that you make less
Yeah.
than
yeah,
we thought you made.
yeah.
We thought James made 65.
65.
And how much do you make?
I actually make 45. And that was only because I meant so the thing is people don't realize that I also get disability. So
Right.
that takes a lot of my paycheck, or that provides a lot of my paycheck.
Yeah. I think
So
maybe you make 65 with disability
no.
more.
Yeah, with disability it's
How
more.
much do you think you make total with disability?
Probably about, because it's untaxed as well.
Right.
So it's
Thank
probably about
God.
like 65,000
Well,
just in
dang.
disability.
We'll talk about transparency. There you
Yeah.
have it. So it's actually a little bit more. But we're going to break it down basically by how much we both get paid monthly,
Yeah.
where all our expenses go, what we spend money on, how it ends up looking. I kind of got a lot of shit at on a recent video talking about how, making 200K in this area does not afford you a luxurious lifestyle.
Yeah.
And I feel like us talking about the numbers and what that actually breaks down to, you'll be able to see that. And just, to add some context here, when I'm saying that you live a luxurious lifestyle, I'm saying like you live in a really nice house, like $1 million
Drive a really
house.
nice car.
You drive a really nice car. You take frequent monthly vacations. You dine out at really fancy spots. You have like a personal chef. That is what I think luxury is.
Yeah, definitely. And I think I get it. Everybody's definition of luxury is different. But yeah, to us, like luxury means that like you can for real splurge without any, worries.
Designer clothes, like that type of
Jewelry,
lifestyle. Yeah.
like
Like really just not thinking twice about the money that you spend. Your kids go to private school. Like, I just think it's crazy that when I said that, I got attacked because the amount of people saying that the ability to just pay your bills and save at the end of the month is a luxurious lifestyle. I understand how it can come across as insensitive to say that to make it seem like that's not a lot of money when it absolutely is.
yeah.
But what reality are we living in when literally doing what you're supposed to do to survive and build wealth for your family, which is paying your bills and saving for the future, that is
That's
seen as luxury.
Yeah.
What?
That makes no sense. But then they still defend these billionaires,
Right.
saying, "Oh, well, he's one of us. He never has to worry about." You know who I'm talking about.
James,
never-
we can't get political. They hate when we do that too.
Like he never has to worry about anything seriously. I mean,
Mhm.
from private jets to, chauffeurs from driving and, super
Yeah.
luxurious suits, jewelry out the wazoo, like,
Yeah.
know. So yeah, living your basic life is now considered luxury, then that's crazy.
Before we get into this week's topic, we have our first ever ad spot brought to you by our new partner, Public. Woo! So James, we have a high yield savings account with Capital One, right?
Yeah.
The yield is about 4.3%, which is great, but we're always looking to diversify our investments. So I was thrilled to learn about Public's bond accounts, and here's how it works. Because bonds are so complicated, and I know it's intimidating to people, but it's really not that complicated. So you deposit $1,000 or more into a bond account, and that money gets invested into a portfolio of 10 investment grade and high yield corporate bonds. You hold those bonds until they reach maturity to maximize on the returns, and you get regular interest payments while you wait. So I decided to open up my own bond account with Public because we want to make sure that we're testing the people that we partner with.
Verified.
And I got an even higher yield. I actually got a 6.61% yield. And This matters because the rate you get with this bond account is locked in at the time of purchase, and it won't fluctuate if the Fed cuts interest rates, unlike with our high yield savings account. So I didn't know that actually. Our interest rate on our high yield savings account is not locked in, but this one is. I'm really excited about it, obviously, and glad that I got over my fear of bonds to learn more about this great way to diversify our investments.
And if you're interested in learning more about Public and want to lock in a 6% or higher yield with a bond account, visit public.com/STS. And thanks again to Public for sponsoring our podcast.
Brought to you by Public Investing, member FINRA plus SIPC. The yield is the average annualized yield to worst across all 10 bonds in the bond account before fees as of October 2nd, 2024. Your yield to worst is not locked in until the time of purchase. A bond's yield to worst is not guaranteed. You can earn less if you do not hold the bonds to maturity or the issuer defaults. Not an investment recommendation. All investing involves risks. Visit public.com/disclosures/bond-account for more info. Now back to the episode. Without further ado, let's get into the numbers and show you exactly what we mean when making 200K plus, combined, we make 285K. It's wonderful. Oh my gosh, we are very privileged. We live a wonderful life, but it's by no means luxurious.
Yeah.
So, combined, I'll break down kind of our monthly paycheck, and actually we'll maybe overlay what our paychecks are every month so you can kind of see what that looks like, and we'll break that down. So actually, to start, let's do that. Let's break down our paychecks. I'll go first. So I make 240K. I actually thought I was making 200K and had recently got a raise, but I guess it's been raised to 240. So we get paid biweekly.
Right.
So we're looking at a pay stub that is once or twice every month. So on one paycheck, I actually thought that I was making 220K, but I'm making 240. And the sad part is I'm actually not seeing an increase in my weekly paycheck, my biweekly paycheck.
Why is that?
Because I'm maxing out my 401k, and I am like super maxing it. I think my contribution is about like 13%, and STS as a company, we've set up 401k matches.
Yeah.
We match up to 6%. So I am just super maxing it, saving for the future. That's what my accountant, shout out Stephanie, recommended I do, and I will take her advice any day.
Right.
So let's break down what this ends up looking like. My paycheck every month is about $11,000, but bi-weekly it breaks out to about $5,500. My gross pay is $10,000, but out of that, I pay a significant amount in taxes and a significant amount in insurance. So I pay $1,543 in federal income tax, $610 in Social Security, $143 in Medicare, and $443 in VA income tax. So of my biweekly pay, which is $10,000 to start, I paid $2,739 in taxes alone. That's over a quarter in taxes. I also pay $1,600 a month in my 401k. I put that aside so I don't touch it. And then for insurance, I pay $148 every 2 weeks for my medical and $7 for dental. So that's about $300 a month in my health insurance, which is actually not bad.
Yeah, that's not too bad.
I've seen some people pay over $500.
Over 500 easy.
So I think that's a win. So that's how my paycheck breaks out. James, what about you?
For me, so my paycheck actually looks like my take home is $986, and that's like from STS because, like I mentioned earlier, I also get disability, but that's a whole separate thing.
Right.
So from STS, my paycheck biweekly is $986.
Okay.
From that, my 401 contribution or 401k
So
contribution.
you make $986 every 2 weeks?
Yes.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, take home, which comes out to like 1972.
Yeah, a little
Yeah.
under 2,000 a
Yeah,
month.
right. My 401k, like you said, fully contribute. And since STS matches up to 6%, I'm contributing up to 6%. So that brings me to $112.50 that I'm contributing to that. I also pay child support. I have 3 children.
Wait, because some people listening to this are going to be like, hold on,
Right.
let me rewind.
Hannah had
Did I
3 children?
hear
Yeah.
this correctly? Yeah. Tell us, James, because I know that I have publicly said that I don't have children, and I want to clear up the air here.
Right.
When I say that, I say it because I'm trying to be sensitive to the situation, that I don't want people listening to feel hurt and think that I'm claiming them as my birthed children.
Right.
I claim them as my family and as my stepkids. I don't like that word. They're just my family, but I did not birth them. Handing it back to you.
Yeah, so with that, I have 3 daughters. So I pay child support, and with that, that comes out to 435.50 per paycheck every month.
Hmm.
And that's just, through the courts what gets
Where are
paid.
your daughters, James?
Indiana, and then I also have a daughter that's in Southern Virginia.
Yeah, so we see
Yeah.
them for holidays. We see them as frequently as we can.
Yeah, and then, phone calls, FaceTime, stuff like that.
Mm.
But yeah, so with that, that's about 435.50. It comes out to like 870 every month. And that's just like the legal contribution. By all means, like there's money that gets sent to them to pay
It's
for other
more like
things.
3,000 a month,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
we'll break that
definitely.
down with our budget.
And that's only because you have to contribute. Those are my children, so I completely understand as to
Yeah.
why, like,
You
yeah.
have them, you better pay for them.
Right.
It's a
Right.
two-way street. We're big supporters of, child support and children being supported no matter the family breakdown,
Or family dynamic. I mean, like,
break dynamic.
yeah.
Thank you.
Because relationships don't always work out, but you birth the children, it's your responsibility to take care of them.
And even if you didn't birth them, you contributed in some way.
Right.
So
Correct.
and just to preface, we haven't talked about having children in our family or our lives
Yeah.
ever, and I don't think we will after this point. There's a reason we don't, and it's because, families are sensitive and we want to be incredibly sensitive as brand new viral social media people. We never thought this
Yeah.
would happen. So we're very private. So us opening up and being transparent like this is honestly a pretty big step for us, I would say. We're opening up in a way that we never intended to or hoped to. So just, hoping that this is received well and that we won't be showing the children in the future, but we appreciate you listening and allowing us to be transparent about this.
Yeah. And then with that, also to round off my paycheck, I pay about $340 every 2 weeks in taxes.
Okay. So that's
Yeah.
about a third.
About a third, honestly.
Dang.
Yeah. Taxes eat up everything.
Yeah.
But now I'm back to the disability portion.
Yeah.
So, like I said, I get 2751
Not taxed.
not taxed. And that's also because I'm rated at 90% disabled.
We're hoping you get
Hoping
your
for the
100%
100%
soon.
sometime soon. And I know that there's going to be comments, he doesn't look disabled. Disabilities are shown in different forms.
They're not always visible.
Correct. So don't just assume. Take whatever you're going to say, write it down, put it in your pocket, walk away.
You don't have anything to say if you didn't serve 8 to 9 years in the Marine Corps. That's all I'll say.
Right. But yeah, so that's what I usually have on the going out as far as my paycheck from STS.
So that's how much money we have coming in.
Yeah.
Which comes out to about $15,733 a month. That is how much money we're pulling in.
That sounds good.
And that's post-tax. Like that is after taxes, after health insurance, after 401k.
401k.
That is how much we get in our bank account. So what do we do with the money? Now let's talk about the budget.
Yeah.
How do we divvy that up? Can you guess? You could probably guess. What is the most expensive thing on our budget?
Mortgage.
Yeah, the mortgage. And that is another episode that we all owe you, is how we came to buy our house. It's kind of a crazy story. And
Yeah.
I think it's really interesting because in no way, shape, or form or any different type of universe would we have been able to afford a home under normal circumstances.
Correct.
But thankfully, because of your military tenure, we were able to buy a house. And it's a cool story. So
Yeah. So we'll tell you guys about that, and then like just what we learned from the home buying process.
Yeah.
I think it's very important for us as a younger generation stepping into the home buying process to be very transparent with it, because it doesn't feel good at times and it can be
sucked.
very
It
stressful.
was
But
so stressful.
but that's for another episode. Back to the budget.
Yeah, let's go back to the budget. This is like a lot. So
Yeah.
we figured we're going to dedicate one episode to this. So our mortgage is $3,584 a month $500 of that is property tax, is it
Yes,
not?
it is.
So literally our mortgage without property tax is about $3,000 a month. Our home when we bought it was $605,000.
Yep.
And also we bought the house in mid to late 2021 at the time in the housing market when interest rates were at like record
Record
lows.
low.
But yeah, we secured a really low interest rate. I think it's about 3%.
Yeah, about
So
3.7.
if you want to know how much a home that's about $600,000 at a 3% interest rate in the Washington D.C. metro area costs, it's going to cost you about $3,584 a month.
Yeah.
Other than that, we have utilities. So we pay electric, water, our cell service, trash, and of course our security system. That all comes out to about $671. We have our what I call our assets slash loans, which is, any debt that we have. I own a car. I own a Kia Seltos. I bought it in 2021, late
Yeah.
2021. It's a 2022. That was another crazy story. I bought it at that time. Anybody listening who was in the car market around the time of the Great Panini would know that there was a time when new cars cost less than used cars.
Which was crazy.
That was when like inventory was all out of whack and
Yeah.
stuff. And that was insane. So I ended up buying my car for like $33,000 when used cars were going for like 35
35.
plus.
Yeah.
It was wild. But at a 3.99% interest rate, why didn't they just give me 4%?
I don't know.
Just give me the
They're like,
4%.
we're cutting you a little slack.
I hate those uneven numbers.
Give me that 0.01%.
Give me that.
Give me that.
So my loan for that is $516 a month. So yeah, it's pricey,
Yeah.
but we only own one car.
Correct.
It would have been a lot worse if we owned two. And I think what's interesting if you're listening to this is compare it to your situation. We don't have children living in the home with us. So if you have kids, add these onto what our budget looks like and you'll see what we mean when we say that we don't have a luxurious
How
lifestyle.
easily this budget can shrink.
It gets real
honestly.
tight.
Yeah, when you start adding all these extra things, because with kids, you need a secondary vehicle,
Mhm.
stuff like that. So
Yeah,
yeah.
we only have one.
Yeah.
So this is what it looks like with one vehicle. The insurance on
One
that.
car.
Oh, sorry, one car. Right, because you have a motorcycle, which is fully paid off. You paid for it in cash way
Yep.
back when. Your insurance is about $27 a month, so pretty cheap.
Hey.
The insurance on my Kia is $132 a month, so not too bad. And the other thing that we have for debt is a $30,000 loan that we had to take out when we bought the house, because we'll talk about it in the house
In the house
episode.
episode.
So if you're not subscribed and you're listening now, make sure that you subscribe so you don't miss this next
They're
episode.
like, damn, they keep mentioning this house stuff, but not talking about
It's
it.
juicy.
Next episode.
It's juicy. We'll get to it. But that $30K loan was necessary to make the house
Yeah.
livable.
Yeah, to get it where we need it.
Yeah, and I won't get into this. So that $30K loan we got at a 10.5% interest rate, and the monthly debt owed is $645 a month. So total debt, including, insurance on that debt, is about $1,515 a
Every
month.
month. Okay.
Other small things, you pay dental just out of pocket because you're in the
Yeah.
military, so you have health insurance, but
Yeah,
you pay
so
dental on the side.
exactly, yeah. So because of my military service, I just go through the VA, through the veteran program to get all of like my healthcare stuff. And with that, they also have the option for you to do like Delta Dental, which great dental coverage and everything. I just pay $45 a month for it.
Okay, so $40 a month, you're not really eating into our
Yeah,
budget
definitely
much,
not.
James.
Yeah.
I'm gonna need you
Hey.
to step it up.
Hey, I
Trophy
tried.
husband.
If I could, I'll live in the woods with nothing else.
We're simple people. The other things are donations. So we set aside money for our donations. I know I donate every month to the ASPCA, which is, a charity for animals. And I also donate to Planned Parenthood. And you donate to
Yeah, I donate to Nature Conservancy.
Mhm.
Conservatives.
Conservancy.
Yeah, I think it's that. And Doctors Without Borders.
Doctors Without Borders.
Yeah.
Our total donations for that is $147. So I don't think either of us donates more than $50 to any organization.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
like the max.
I definitely want to change that.
Mhm.
to at least $50 per.
Well, that's the
But
thing is
yeah.
I think a lot of other donations we make are under the table, like
Yeah, exactly.
GoFundMe's, things that we see randomly that we don't categorize in our budget. It's just kind of our spending money that we put on our credit
Correct,
card.
correct. Yeah.
And with that being said, our credit card is I have about $500 budgeted that we pay on our credit card per month, and that is like a bunch of, unnecessary things like gym memberships,
Yeah, and
streaming
just
services.
random things like gas too. I mean, like,
Gas,
yeah,
yeah,
just
that's about $500 a month. The other things are groceries and food, so every time we go to the grocery store, or every time we eat out, our budget is $1,000 a month for that. The child support that we have in here that we talked about earlier, you pay about $3,000 a month for child support. And then the other thing is we have 4 pets. We don't have kids living in the house with us,
oh yeah,
but
4 fur
with our
babies.
puppy, it feels like we have a teenager right now. We have 2 dogs and 2 cats, all rescues. Tell the community, James, a little bit about our fur babies.
Yeah, so our oldest one, her name is Gwyneth Paltrow, full name. She's our baby. She's how old now? About
She's
7 to
between
9?
7 and 9, but she
Yeah,
could be 9 to 11. We're
yeah.
not sure. She's a rescue that we adopted as an
She's a
adult.
beautiful little dog, and everybody always actually you guys have seen her. We had her here.
She was on this on a podcast
Yeah.
episode.
So
Real OGs will know.
right. So Quinn, then we have Semi, who's our little teenage boy.
We just
He's
got him last year.
he is a monster. And then
Yeah.
we have the 2 cats. We have Mischief and Murphy. 2 beautiful kittens when they were first,
They
introduced
were
to the
so
home, and now
cute.
they've
I
they've
love
kind
them
of
so
just turned the
much.
whole house into their playroom.
Yeah, I love them to death. They're so sweet. They are expensive though.
Very,
So
very.
we pay for, pet food and meds. And by meds, our oldest needs Heartgard every month. Our teenage dog eats like a horse.
Really.
The total amount for that is $303 a month. So that's just their food and their meds. But their insurance, we have Lemonade, which we love. We'll actually add a link in the description. So if you want to open an account with Lemonade, you can do so with our link. We're not sponsored by them, but that would be really cool because we're big fans
Yeah.
and they save us money every single time we go to the vet. But every month, it's about $195. We pay annual, so we pay a little bit of a discount to pay in full, but that's what it comes out to on a monthly basis. So yeah, so all in all, the total amount that we are spending every single month is $10,830. Those are expenses that we more or less have to make.
Yeah.
Of course, there are things that we could choose not to do, like donations. We
Gym
could gym
memberships.
membership.
Yeah.
We could definitely cut down on food. We could cut down on our, subscriptions and want to haves. But that's about what it comes out to, function,
Yeah, for
health and
us.
wellness, and pay our bills.
Yeah, for us to just live our regular lives. Like that's not even, splurging, going on
Yeah.
trips every week and stuff like that.
Which brings me to remember our monthly total was $15,733. So, of the money out and the money in, the money we have left over every month to spend is $4,903.
Mm.
And that's where it comes into play, where it's like, yeah, we can save and we use about all of that money, about $5,000, half in a high yield savings account and half in investments to save for the future.
Yeah.
But imagine making that amount and having 2 kids. Imagine making that amount and having a sick parent or being sick yourself or having a sick family member. Imagine making that amount and having another car. That's where I really think it comes out that this is great, but by no means is it luxury.
Yeah.
And you are this close still to disaster.
Well, and I mean, because of the simple fact is, like, yes, we have that extra, but then, I mean, for heaven's sakes, we just had to take Quinn to
Oh
a
gosh.
doctor's appointment, and we just got told that her MRI is going to come out to how much?
Between $4,000 and $6,000. And what we've been trying to do really heavily, because we weren't able to do it when we were working our 9 to 5s. We were basically paycheck to paycheck when we were
Right.
working our 9 to 5s, and we were making less than 100K. We only started making 100K in like the last 1 or 2 years
Yeah, honestly, it was
of
like
our careers
it
until we
was
did this.
it was honestly like the last year right before we
Yeah.
quit to do this that we both finally broke that 100K mark.
Yeah, and we had been living paycheck to paycheck because we had other debts, that we were paying off. I had a lot of student loans to pay off. I had about $17,000 that I put all my extra money, all my paychecks towards because it was high interest. It was a private loan. It wasn't going to be forgiven. So I really wanted to get that monkey off my back, for lack of a better term. And, we didn't have, like you said, we were living pretty paycheck to paycheck, pretty tight for a long time, that we weren't able to save much in our emergency savings
Yeah,
account.
honestly.
So even now, it kind of feels like we're playing catch up because we are not on track based on these calculators of how much money we need to have in our savings, our emergency savings.
Yeah, to
How
be able to retire comfortably.
Exactly. So we're playing catch up. We are still really tight with our money. We have a budget, we stick to it, and this is what it looks like.
That's crazy. It's
Yeah.
honestly really crazy, especially because, like you hear all of these finance gurus on, TikTok saying, "Oh, well, if you just work harder or work another job, then like you can retire at the age of 35 with $2 billion." A lot of it's not realistic. I mean, we make 280, a little bit over 280 as a couple without kids in the house.
Isn't that
And
crazy?
we still, have to penny pinch at times. I mean, there's definitely times where we kind of just sit there and look at each other and go, "Hey, we have a little bit of extra money. Do we want to put this on a loan? Do we want to put this in the savings account? Do we want to put this on our credit cards?" Like just pretty much trying to figure out ways to make sure that we can continue to, I guess, be financially independent, because that
Yeah.
that ultimately was our goal when we started this, was to reach the point to where, I can go to the gas station and pay for gas without really caring about what the price is.
Yeah.
Those simple wins, that's what we were really looking for.
Mhm. And I feel like that's, like, where you're really comfortable is when you can go to any gas station you want. I still don't think it's luxury,
Definitely not luxury.
but it's definitely a comfortable place to be.
Yeah.
So,
And
I don't know. I just think it's also fascinating what people's different interpretations of luxury are,
definitely.
and everyone's entitled to their 2 cents, just like we are on our show.
Right. Well, and that's the thing too, is I mean, like, a lot of people I know will get a lot of comments where they're like, "Oh, well, you guys make a lot, and you're not relatable because you make so much." But at the same
We
time,
didn't always make
yeah,
this.
we
We made this
definitely.
from our page. Like,
I mean,
we're just like you. We're
I remember
self-made.
back when we used to charge scooters to get a few extra dollars.
Oh my
Like,
gosh, we could talk about that. The things we
yeah,
used to do to make a little extra money.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's another episode.
Yeah.
But
We were
yeah,
not always making six figures. We were not always making this high amount of money. It honestly kills me when people say we're not relatable anymore because we're self-made. This amount that we're making now is thanks to this business that we built, and I hope that if anything it inspires other people to start their own business, start their own page, and we're so transparent about how you can make money doing that. Also, about that, we're actually hosting workshops at Capital One cafes at the end of this month on October. I want to get the dates right.
26. No, I'm joking. I don't know.
On October 22nd, we're
I
gonna
was so
be
close.
on October 22nd, we're gonna be at the Miracle Mile Capital One Cafe in Miami, Florida. Then on Thursday, the 24th, we're gonna be in Richmond at the Capital One Cafe in Carytown. On the 29th, we're gonna be at the Seaport Capital One Cafe in Boston. And then on the 30th, we're gonna be at the Capital One Cafe in Georgetown in Washington, D.C. We'll have links down in the description below to sign up and save your spot. So if you are curious to learn about how to make money on social media, we're hosting those free events. Registration is limited, space is limited, so please sign up. And if there's a wait list, sign up anyway because it might open up. But that's just a total tangent that if you're
Yeah.
curious to learn how to do that, we are transparent about it
Or
and we
even
are hosting
yeah,
workshops.
or even just have questions. I mean, like, sometimes people won't start a business because they're just so unsure of themselves, and they just need somebody else from the outside to say, "Hey, that's a great idea. You should
Yeah.
do it." So if you need that little confidence boost, come see us. We got you.
Yeah. But we hope that this episode was interesting, helpful, gave you some insight as to what a budget looks like for a couple making $285,000 in the Washington, D.C. metro area. If you have any questions, I think it would be really fun to do an episode where we answer all the questions. We could do like a part two of
Yeah,
this.
like a part two.
Yeah, so leave us a comment, leave us a question on Spotify, YouTube, wherever you're listening. And of course, if you haven't left us a review, but hopefully we're hoping you enjoy the podcast. If you're enjoying it, please leave us a review. It's really helpful for us to get, distributed in the podcast sphere.
We're trying to, put our foot in the door. Get in there. Let us in.
Yeah,
Let me
so let
in.
me in. But yeah, and if you're not subscribed, of course, it goes without saying, please give us a subscribe. And we'll catch you next week when we either break down questions that come up from this episode. And if you don't ask us any, we'll go right into the story of how we bought our
Yeah,
house.
the home buying experience and what our recommendations. So
But
let
yeah,
us know what you guys think.
let us know, and we'll catch you next time.
Bye.
Bye.